So Dune 2020, people have been wanting me to talk about this for a long time, just because of how big a fan of Dune I am, and just kind of how knowledgeable I am about it. The reason I haven't covered it yet is there's a very old-fashioned thing about me, and I guess it's kind of funny to use the term old-fashioned in this context, but I don't like to watch movie trailers outside of theaters. To me, kind of part of the excitement of going to the movies is to see the trailers. So I often don't really look at release schedules, and I don't really look at uh, trailers if they're on YouTube. I just kind of like the organic experience. You go to the theater, you see trailers, you're pleasantly surprised by them. You haven't seen the trailer before. So I don't know, maybe that's weird, but that's just kind of how I've been. So I finally saw the trailer for this in theaters the other day when I went to see Possessor, and I figured it's time to comment on it. So I was aware, of course, that this movie was being made. The cast, I think, is actually pretty good. Rebecca Ferguson is good for Lady Jessica. I don't really know about Paul. Jason Momoa as Duncan Idaho is kind of a weird choice. I don't think it's horrible because Duncan Idaho is a bit like, um, I guess his Aquaman character a little bit. He is like kind of a man's man. He's a Chad. He likes women. He likes drink. He's a fighter, but he's a man of a lot of honor and integrity. So I think Jason Momoa is not terrible. Dealing with ethnicity in Dune is difficult. So like Chani is played by a uh, I think she's mulatto. It's weird because in the OG Dune she was played by Sean Young, who's white, and then in the miniseries, the actress who played her, I believe, was Chechen. So it's kind of interesting. Dave Batista as the Beast Raban, that's perfect casting. Stellan Skarsgård as Baron Vladimir, that's good. Oscar Isaac as Duke Leto is an interesting choice. I think that's fine. Javier Bardem as Stilgar's good. By and large, this cast seems pretty good to me. Yui being played by an Asian guy. Once again, ethnicity in Dune is kind of weird because it's so far in the future. The Atreides are Greek, though. Like, they're very strongly Greek. So I'm kind of glad they didn't get them to be played by, like, I don't know, some, like, random ethnicity. I'm just trying to see where Irulan is. Irulan's not listed here, and that's kind of concerning. I hope they didn't take her out because she was actually like one of my favorite characters in the original Dune novel and the sequels. Probably because she's obviously based on Anna Karenina. I'm probably not pronouncing her name right, but I mean the cast looks pretty good. It's a difficult movie to cast for. Um, so that being said, let's kind of maybe get into the actual. Actually, let me just see who's directing this. Arrival, which okay, so Blade Runner 2049. Okay, so that is kind of like the perfect first movie to make if you're going to go into Dune, if that makes sense. Like that's probably the most similar adapt property. And that is one of my all-time favorite movies. If you see in some of my rain videos, I have a huge Blade Runner 2049 poster on the back. And that's not a bad approach to come to making the Dune movie, but I don't know if he's going to really make it like that. So let's take a look at the trailer. So Dune is something that people often say is unadaptable. And they'll say that about things like Berserk, where it's just too complex, too nuanced. It's too difficult to make into a movie. I think part of that is just how much of the book is characters' internal monologues. And like how David Lynch dealt with that is like half the movie is just internal dialogue. And I'm not sure. I guess the concern is that doesn't film very well. So I think what you have to do, because you can't cover everything, because it's a long book and it's a very complicated book and it's written in a very strange fashion. Or I wouldn't say necessarily complicated, but there's a lot of depth and different levels to it. So I kind of think you have to take an approach and try to focus on something. So David Lynch chose to kind of focus on the mythic aspects of it, to focus on the archetypes, the hero's journey. At the end, Paul makes it rain, which he can't do, but I liked it because it was a fitting end to the film. He also chose to focus a lot on the aesthetics of the Dune verse, with, I don't know if you want to call it like sci-fi feudalism or retrofuturism or whatever, but he chose to focus a lot on that. And there was a lot of kind of changes he made. I think part of what he was trying to do was to represent really abstract concepts. Like Bene Gesserit training was represented like through the voice modulators, or the toughness of the Sardaukar was they came from a planet of poison gas, so they wore suits all the time, and just stuff like that. So I think that's kind of one approach you can take to making a Dune movie. The Dune television series, which I think a lot of people kind of shit on. The idea was, I think, to focus more on the plot and the characters. So it's a lot more, well, partially just because their budget's obviously much smaller, but it kind of de-emphasizes the mythic, kind of platonic themes in favor of focusing more on the actual story, in particular more on the characters and their relationships and their interactions with each other, and just trying to do Dune as like a direct adaptation, if that makes sense. Like just trying to make it as similar to the original story as possible. And once again, these are just two different ways of dealing with it. There's good things about David Lynch's Dune. There's horrible things about David Lynch's Dune. There's good things about the TV series. There's bad things about it. I don't think there's any reason you can't like both of them and appreciate them for different reasons. So when I saw the trailer for this, I'm not really sure the approach that he's going for. So let's just start going through this. And we'll go through this scene by scene.
There's something happening to me. There's something awakening in my mind. I can't control it.
What did you see?
Now that is a thing. I think that might be the opening scene in the novel. It's been a while since I've read it, where he has a vision of Chani. I don't know. I think that's kind of a questionable way to open the trailer up. It kind of felt a bit awkward and strange to me. Okay, so let's continue. That's kind of a nice homage. His bed looks very similar to kind of the aesthetic you see in the David Lynch movie. I like how they changed it from jihad to crusade, to be politically correct, because it's specifically called a jihad.
Do you often dream things that happen just as you dreamed them?
Yes.
So I don't really know like what approach they're going for now. Maybe this is like going for coming of age, because they're portraying Paul as being a lot kind of younger and more childish than I've seen him before.
The test is simple. Remove your hand from the box, and you die.
It's kind of annoying. So they changed it. The Gom Jabbar is supposed to be a ring, I think. That's what it was in David Lynch's, and I think it was in the book, and now it's just kind of a boring needle.
It's in the box.
Pain. You inherit too much power. You have proven you can rule yourself. Now you must learn to rule others.
I mean, they don't even really explain the like the box in this trailer. I mean, if you could have a 3-minute long trailer, they could have like finished that scene off and said, pain is in the box. An animal will withdraw their hand or something. A human being will understand rationally that it's better to suffer pain than death. Or I didn't explain that very well, but they probably could have done that scene better.
Something none of your ancestors learned.
My father rules an entire planet.
He's losing it.
He's getting a richer one.
He'll lose that one too.
I don't know. My issue is I kind of think they should have, like, you could explain it pretty rapidly. Like, at some point in this trailer, gone spice, or maybe they do and I just missed it. Melange. It's needed to. It extends life. It's needed to protect. To have faster than light travel, and it only goes on one planet. Whoever controls the spice controls the Imperium, or something like that.
Arrakis is a death trap.
He looks like one of the engineers
Arrakis is a death trap.
from the Alien prequels.
Kill them. This is an extermination.
What's an extermination? I mean, like, I don't know, nothing's being established or explained here.
Picking my family off one by one.
Let's fight like demons.
An animal caught in a trap will gnaw off its own leg to escape. What will you do?
I know you.
This is more like a teaser trailer. Like, we haven't established really much about the plot. Okay, they're going to a new planet. That was kind of established. There's going to be some sort of fight. Paul's going to be meeting some kind of challenge. It seems like this is a bit more focused on Paul and a bit more focused on his hero's journey.
One day, the legend will be born. All of civilization depends on it.
The future. I can see it.
I mean, there's nothing about the Messiah, the Kwisatz I mean, there's, like, nothing about the plot in this.
I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer.
My Lord Duke.
Where the fear is gone, only I will remain.
Go, go, go!
Oh, it's the money shot. It's the sandworm. I mean, that's kind of cool because that's very much the kind of aesthetic that the letters look like in Dune. Kind of reminds me a bit of the guild symbol, which is an infinity sign. So, I mean, the song's pretty good. I'm going to say, though, that felt more like a teaser trailer, like a 3-minute long teaser trailer. I'm not really that impressed. It doesn't really tell you anything about the movie beyond, like, Paul being in it. I'm gonna say that was not a good trailer, and I'm not super I'm just not super excited. I mean, maybe it'll be okay. And I'm not hating on this just because, like, I'm a purist, and like I said, I went through a bunch of different, like, ideas and ways you can adapt this. I just, looking at this, I'm not really sure, like, how this is going to turn out. But I guess we'll see. So, I don't know. Anyways, hopefully that was at least somewhat interesting. That was my hot take, although it's probably more of a lukewarm take. But yeah, we'll see how the movie comes out.